Hey, it's Jason from Bohemia Bees. And if you are a beekeeper and you have wax moths in one of your colonies, we're going to show you how you could salvage those frames, protect them so that they don't get any further damage, and help them to be used in a future colony should you need it. So stay tuned, and we're going to show you how we do that here at Bohemia Apiary. Okay, so this colony is a dead out colony. It's a colony that didn't make it. It was on a pollination route, local pollination, and it just didn't have enough bees to sustain the colony. Kept getting weaker and weaker. Naturally, it failed. Either they absconded. There wasn't a lot of dead bees on the bottom of the box, so we believe that they absconded. And then once they absconded, it was robbed out pretty heavily. And then leaving behind a lot of that comb and pollen in the frames. That comb is wax, right? So when you have wax moths. So if you look in this colony here, you can start to see what's happening with this frame. You can see these trails of webbing, and it looks like these small worms that potentially are going through if we can catch one of them. These are wax moths, and they will devastate a colony. If you store this colony away till spring, by the time you come back, it will be completely destroyed. It will be full of this webbing, and the wax moths would have eaten through everything that the bees have worked so hard on to build. But you can stop this. You can stop this process, and you can salvage this this frame of comb if you have and want to use it in a future colony or even a swarm trap. Well, we're going to show you how. This, my friends, is probably one of the most important boxes in your apiary. Most people don't think about this as a beekeeping tool. We have plenty of equipment and other types of tools that are used in the beekeeping world, and when you're even a hobbyist beekeeper or even a larger sideline beekeeper. This box can be your friend in the apiary, and here's why. What is it? Well, it's a freezer. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's a chest freezer. And you're going to say, well, why do you need a chest freezer in beekeeping? Well, let me show you. Okay, so you're asking, what do you use it for? Well, we freeze the combs. We take the combs out of these hives that have some slight wax moth damage, and we place them in our freezer. This will stop the wax moths in their tracks, literally. You can see that damage right there. It's starting to get pretty worse. And if we go down in, you can start to see if we can catch a wax moth. But that comb is still 90% very good. A little dark, but very good. Great for a swarm trap, potentially. Great for a new colony that needs some pre-drawn comb. So we load them up into our freezer. This is a practice we do with our honey supers as well. And I'll put a link in the description below about how we prep our honey supers for winter. But we leave these in here for 48 hours. And that completely kills all the wax moths that are currently trailing through the colony, as well as any wax moth eggs that are left behind. Because you may have a few wax moths, but they lay a lot of eggs, and when they do, they feast on the pollen and the wax in these frames and will essentially destroy them. So we stack our frames in here for 48 hours. We'll come back. The combs will be fairly brittle when we pull it out, so we'll let them go back to room temperature before we reuse them again and clean up any major damage that we see from the wax moths. This also kills small hive beetles and small hive beetle eggs. So by doing this is another method to control the population of small hive beetles and as well as wax moths in your colonies in either a dead out if you're trying to reuse the comb or the equipment. We've put full boxes in these freezers before. We've put entire supers in the freezers with honey in them. We've done that in order to preserve or protect the combs and the assets that are in those combs. All right, folks, there you have it, into the freezer. Again, this is probably one of the most important boxes, other than those boxes, in your apiary that you should probably have. They're not that expensive. You can pick them up at your local big box store. You can get, this is kind of a medium-sized one. They make much larger ones, even smaller ones if you're a hobbyist. You can start to fill up your personal freezer in your home quicker. It's better just to invest into a nice box chest freezer like this and use that in your apiary as your tool. They tend to get a little messy when you start to pull combs out. Some of the comb breaks off. It's very brittle. So it will cover the bottom of the chest freezer and make a little bit of a mess. You'll be able to clean that up pretty quickly. Scoop it out while it's cold and frozen. Use it in your wax solar melter in order to render it down and use it in the future. It's also good for using for when you're cleaning up frames. If you have some wonky comb or you have some crazy comb that you don't want to reuse in the colony because it's not really good, you can put it in the freezer for 48 hours, take it out, scrape it off. We did a couple videos about that. I'll put a link in the description below on that one as well. But again, it's just another tool in your apiary, in your quiver of tools to help with the bees and continuing to build out your strong colonies and techniques within your apiary. I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate the support. Make sure you like and subscribe so that we can set the alerts, and set the alerts button so you know when we do another video, because we do tons of content about bees and beekeeping, and we want to share that experience that we have with you, because here at Bohemia Apiary, beekeeping is, well, definitely more than a hobby. It's an obsession, folks. Have a good evening. Okay, so there you have it, folks. The other box in the colony, and the other box.